specific future event, and that event has now occurred. I am going to tell you everything. What the prophecy was, who made it, why it took 2,000 years, and what it means that it was you. Specifically, exactly, undeniably you, who fulfilled it. But I need to begin where the prophecy began. 2,000 years ago, in a period when the idea of a single human life mattering in the architecture of cosmic events was considered absurd. Something was declared, not written down initially. Declarations of this kind never are. They are spoken first into a specific silence at a moment when the conditions are exactly right for the words to hold their shape. The writing comes later, and the writing always loses something. But the original declaration, the spoken version, that one holds. What was declared was this, that at a point 2,000 years forward, a single person would complete something, not build something, not discover something, complete something. The distinction is critical, but the declaration was specific about one more thing, about the nature of the person who would complete it. It said the person would not know they were doing it. That detail was not incidental. It was the central condition. The completion could only be genuine if the person had no awareness of the role they were playing. The moment self-consciousness entered, the moment the person began performing the pattern rather than simply being it, the completion would be voided. 2,000 years of waiting contingent on one person being completely unaware. Now, before I give you the actual content of the prophecy, you need to know something about the source, because the source changes everything about the weight of this declaration. And the source is not what you are expecting. The declaration did not originate with a prophet, not a human one. Every prophecy you have encountered in your life, in scripture, in mythology, in the literature of every culture that keeps records, has been filtered through a human voice. A person who received something, translated it into language their community could process, and delivered it. The translation always costs something. Something precise becomes something approximate. This declaration had no human translator. It came from the governing intelligence of the universe itself. What the oldest traditions, before they divided into competing theologies, simply called the administration of what is. Heaven, not a metaphor for goodness or a destination for the dead. The active, functioning, decision-making structure that sits above the visible order of things. Heaven spoke this declaration directly, not through a prophet, not through a dream. The people present described it not as a voice, but as a certainty that arrived in the room, the way temperature arrives. You do not see temperature, you do not hear it, but you are absolutely certain of it the moment it is present. That is how this declaration arrived, with the full authority of everything that oversees everything. Not a prediction hedged with probability. A statement of what would occur, made by the only intelligence, with the vantage point to make that statement with certainty. Now, what did that source actually declare? Your first response will be that it has nothing to do with you, that it is too large, that the people it sounds like it describes are not people like you. That reaction is the proof it is you. But hold that, the prophecy first. The declaration stated that within 2,000 years, a single person would accomplish what no accumulated human effort had ever managed. The restoration of something that had been severed at the foundation of the human story. not a political restoration, not a religious one, something structural, something that operates underneath politics and religion, underneath every system humans have ever built to manage the fact that they exist. What was severed was the direct, unmediated recognition between a human's soul and the structure of heaven itself. Not faith. Faith is what humans develop to cope with the absence of that recognition. Not religion. Religion is the institution that formed around the absence. The thing that was severed was the original condition, the state in which a human being simply knew, without effort, without intermediary, without doubt, that they were seen, that their existence was registered, that the universe was not indifferent to the specific fact of them. That condition had been gone so long that humanity had stopped believing it was even possible. The prophecy declared that one person would restore it, not for everyone immediately, but as a proof of concept, a demonstration that the circuit could close. And from that one point, the restoration could slowly propagate. The person described did not sound like someone living an ordinary life. They sounded like a cosmic figure, arriving with power, with recognition, with evidence visible to all. They sounded like someone the world would know. And that is exactly why, for 2,000 years, everyone watching for this fulfillment looked in entirely the wrong direction, because the fulfillment was never going to come from the direction of power. It was going to happen quietly, in private, in the unremarkable texture of one person's unremarkable life. In yours, the restoration of that circuit could not be forced. It could not be sought. Every human attempt to achieve it through seeking had produced the same result for 2,000 years. Because the moment you seek something, you are operating from the position of its absence, and you cannot restore a connection from inside the experience of losing it. The only way the circuit could close was if a person, without knowing the circuit existed, without any framework telling them what they were doing, simply lived in a way that embodied the original condition. You lived it. The specific qualities required were these: the persistent orientation toward truth over comfort, the continued extension of trust after trust had been broken, the specific quality of continuing to exist fully without the protective narrowing that betrayal usually produces, and underneath all of it, a fundamental, unchosen, structural inability to conclude that the universe did not care, not because you had evidence that it did, but because that conclusion simply never rooted in you. No matter how many times the conditions invited it, you did not choose any of these. They are not your virtues. They are your nature. And your nature, operating as itself, in the conditions of your specific life, over the specific duration of time it took to be tested thoroughly enough, produced the exact configuration the prophecy required. The circuit closed, not dramatically, not with any sensation you would recognize as significant. It closed the way a lock closes, a small, precise click, inaudible to almost everyone, decisive to the structure it secures.